So it saddens me to say that after the beating you gave me on Monday night, one thing Mankind is not is ready to face you in a street fight at the Royal Rumble in Madison Square Garden. Because you are without a doubt the game. You are the best in the business right now. And as you said, well, Mankind in some ways is nothing more than a beaten up, pathetic fool. But I think the WWF fans deserve a substitute in that match.
Substitute? He's chickening out?
What I'm going to do, Triple H, is I'm going to name him right now. As a matter of fact, I think you know the guy.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. No.
And I think you know him pretty damn well. His name is Cactus Jack. You want a war? You're gonna get one.
Knock at the doors, the drugs, to my generation will take the fall. The saints will cross the nation, and it's a sex, the gods, the fakes, the frauds, they're messing with me. Come on, let's get it out. Move to the music, play that fucking music. Live through my music, yeah.
Hey yo, Reliving the War episode 219, the 17th of January 2000. This week, soldier, you're getting deployed to New Haven, Connecticut for WWF Raw and Columbus, Ohio for WCW Nitro. As you just saw at the top of the video, Cactus Jack is back. Cactus made his return on Smackdown and we'll be hearing from Foley at the beginning of Raw this week. Over in WCW, we just wrapped up Souled Out 2000 and boy, what a show that was. Chris Benoit won the World Heavyweight Championship, but Tony Schiavone announces on Nitro that the title has once again been vacated. Benoit, Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero have all decided to leave the company. Vince Russo's also walked out and he's been replaced by a creative committee consisting of Ed Ferrara, Bill Banks, Mike Graham, JJ Dillon and headed by Kevin Sullivan. Complete and utter chaos at WCW, but the big takeaway here is the fact that the company truly has lost their backbone. Every wrestler who walked out was an extremely good worker, and you could always rely on Saturn, Benoit, Malenko and Guerrero to put on good matches. So losing these guys really is a massive blow to WCW and to the fans who still tuned into TNT every Monday night. Raw begins with a Cactus Jack promo. On Nitro, we've got Billy Kidman versus Psychosis. You immediately notice that things have changed in WCW by the way the first match is presented. We don't get entrances, instead the camera pans from the stage pyro right to the ring where Kidman and Psychosis begin their match, so it kinda feels like a deliberate message from the new committee, kinda saying, okay, you expected tons of promos, but we're starting with action right away. Kidman had a fantastic night at Souled Out and he starts this one off with a head scissor takedown and a crossbody from the top rope. He ends up on the outside though where Psychosis wipes him out after a dive over the top rope. A top rope wheel kick keeps Billy down back inside the ring, but Kidman replies with his rebound clothesline. He also dropkicks Psychosis out of midair and this gets followed up with a springboard tornado bulldog. Psychosis pulls off a middle rope sit down front suplex and it dawned on me here that this is probably going to be Nitro's best match and it's happening at the start of the show. It's probably all downhill from here, soldier, so make sure you have plenty of supplies. It's going to be a long battle this week. Kidman pulls off a wheelbarrow suplex that looked great. Psychosis answers with his top rope leg drop, which doesn't finish the match. Instead, it ends when Psychosis tries a powerbomb, and yeah, that was a dumb move, wasn't it? No one studies tape in WCW, it seems. Good opener though. I'd like to think guys like Kidman and Psychosis are going to get more opportunities now that Benoit and company are gone. On Raw, Cactus Jack's all fired up for the Royal Rumble and I honestly couldn't wait to cover this pay-per-view. So much so that I completed the video review before covering this episode of Raw, so as always you can see it right now on Patreon if you want to support the channel. Mick says Mankind was friendly, he was funny and downright huggable, but Triple H broke Mankind. He made Mankind mad. Hunter woke up a sick SOB when he cracked Mankind with the ring bell last week, though Mick got a little enjoyment out of seeing his own blood pour down his face, because it made Mick realise who he was all along. Mick Foley is Cactus Jack. Fucking bang bang. Jack shows some footage on the Titantron from he and Hunter's previous fight in Madison Square Garden, and Foley says he's not going to pretend to be the man that he used to be, he's going to be a little better. Cactus Jack has no regrets when it comes to violence. Mick Foley has no regrets about the journey he took to get to this very point. Cactus is one bad son of a bitch and he plans on making Triple H suffer at the Royal Rumble. He's gonna lace up his leopard boots and kick Hunter's pansy ass. If Hunter has the testicular fortitude, he'd come out right now for a fight on Raw, and so My Time plays in the arena and Hunter appears on the entranceway. The champ says he's thought of nothing but Cactus Jack for the last 4 days. He has to face Cactus in a street fight in New York City, and while Hunter knows both he and Jack are going to pull out all the stops, he also thinks Mick Foley's lying to himself. Hunter's going to get even more sadistic and evil than Cactus Jack could ever dream of being this week on pay-per-view. But Triple H also figured something out. As sadistic as Cactus Jack is, Mick Foley actually hates Cactus Jack, and Mick Foley's afraid of Cactus Jack. Mick Foley dies a little inside when Cactus Jack hurts or injures people. Triple H, on the other hand, loves hurting people. Hunter loves getting sadistic, so the champ has the advantage here. Cactus isn't ready for Triple H. Mick's happy that Hunter's filling himself with confidence before the pay-per-view, but Jack wants to fight right now on Raw. Hunter takes his jacket off, he then invites some of his friends to the party, so DX show up and Cactus gets outnumbered. Yeah, Triple H and DX are cool again after SmackDown. Triple H apologised and he and Stephanie made things right by booking them in favourable matches. The Rock comes down for the save, but he gets pulled out of the ring by the Big Show. These two want to win the Royal Rumble and they've got a little mini rivalry going on because Rock called Big Show a jabroni. And finally, the Acolytes come out to get a piece of DX. The ring clears out, Hunter manages to escape through the audience, and we'll be seeing more of Cactus and Triple H as the night goes on. On Raw next, we've got Test versus the Big Boss Man. On Nitro, Arn Anderson explains what happened in the Souled Out main event, plus we've got some Harlem Heat and Booker T promos. So, the commentary team on Nitro recap what happened at last night's pay-per-view. Kevin Nash is the new president of WCW after he defeated Terry Funk. The US title was vacated due to Jeff Jarrett getting injured. Bret Hart had to vacate the world title due to the concussion he suffered at Starrcade. And in the main event last night, Chris Benoit defeated Sid for the world heavyweight title. The commentators do not mention Benoit leaving the company. They don't talk about Saturn, Malenko, Guerrero, or even Vince Russo walking out. So the enforcer, Arn Anderson's going to explain what happened in the main event and why, in kayfabe, the Chris Benoit is no longer world champion. Remember, Arn served as the referee during the Souled Out main event. Double A says he tried to call the match right down the middle. He's never served as a referee before and he had a few difficulties staying focused, but he made the right call when he noticed Benoit's foot under the bottom rope when Sid tried to pin him following a chokeslam. Arn then explains that he went down head to head when Benoit locked in the crossface. He didn't see Sid's foot underneath the bottom rope as he topped out towards the very end of the bout. So Anderson messed up and he shouldn't have awarded the match and the World Championship to Chris Benoit. Just a quick side note, I'm guessing Sid putting his foot under the bottom rope was a safeguard should Benoit not agree to come back to WCW, and I'm guessing that safeguard had to be utilised tonight on Nitro. I could be wrong, but it makes the most sense. Arn says he blew it. He gave Benoit his biggest moment, but now he has to take it away from him. The enforcer made a mistake, but it's resulted in the world title getting stripped from Chris Benoit, and WCW now has no heavyweight champion. It's like the match never happened. We then see Kevin Nash, Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner heading to their dressing room, and look, it appears that Ron and Don Harris are back to wearing suits. Their serving is the NWO security tonight, and it's a shame that no one cares. Mean Gene then gets a word with Booker T. Booker thought this guy named Big T, who showed up at Souled Out, was locked up. Book and Stevie considered bringing Ahmed into Harlem Heat in the past, but they decided not to. So it looks like Stevie went back on his word and Big T has now replaced Booker T in Harlem Heat. By the way, I asked you guys what does the T stand for in Big T, and we have a winner. The T stands for titties. Harlem Heat 2000 make their way down to the ring. Stevie says this is a new and improved Harlem Heat before announcing he's going to give Book another chance. Big Titties doesn't seem very happy about this, but Booker comes out and Stevie tells his brother to send his big rat to the back. My god. Booker gets in the ring, he attacks Big T right away. Stevie then helps his new teammate and he orders the referee to ring the bell. Ahmed then falls on his ass when trying to pull off a Pearl River plunge. Fucking good work, mate. And his power slam didn't look all that great either, so it's not a good start for Ahmed Johnson's WCW run at all. He takes a forearm from Booker followed by an axe kick and the book end. Stevie then jumps on the apron and this allows Ahmed to pull out a slapjack from his fanny pack. Booker gets whacked, Big T defeats Booker by pinfall, and yeah, a terrible performance from Big T. Can't believe he wrestled while wearing a fanny pack. This Raw match is for the hardcore title and the giant robot monster Worldwide Alliance symbol appeared during Test's entrance. Steve Blackman wanted to come out and investigate, but his partner Kurt Angle was too busy taking his shit. We'll come back to this in a minute though. Test and Bossman ended up fighting through the audience and into the backstage area. The two went to the toilets where Kurt Angle was currently stationed. Test got his nose busted open here and he's had quite a few problems with his snores as of late, hasn't he? Poor guy. The two leave the restrooms. Test gets some shutters dropped on his neck, which was probably the best spot of the match. Bossman had this one all under control, but then when the two went back to the ring, Albert got involved and Bossman got attacked. These two officially broke up on Smackdown, by the way. It ends with Test using Bossman's nightstick while performing an elbow drop, and Test becomes the new hardcore champion. A small consolation for the crap he's went through over the past few weeks. Backstage, Triple H wants his attackers to learn some respect. He wants the new Age Outlaws to take out Rock and Big Show in a tag team match if Rocky and Show don't take themselves out beforehand. And X-Pac's going to team up with the Game to fight the Acolytes. Kid doesn't seem too amused, but Hunter and Steph tell him to trust them. They have something planned and everything's gonna be okay. Godfather and D'Lo take on Edge and Christian next on Raw. On Nitro we've got Disco Inferno versus Vampiro. The Raw match ended when Christian bumped a hoe off the apron. She seemed to crumble down to the floor in slow motion, but Christian was like, so what, and he continued the match. Edge went to check on the creature and this meant his partner was left high and dry. So D'Lo got a pinfall win and Christian was a little confused, to say the least. To make it up to the boys, the Godfather gave them both a free night with his ladies. They were free to do whatever they wanted. The recently engaged Edge didn't seem too keen though, while Christian stayed in the ring, still confused as to why his partner wasn't there for a tag. Backstage, the Bossmans found Albert and the two are fighting it out. Unfortunately, Albert gets thrown into the women's dressing room where Tori was getting changed. So you know where this is going. Tori calls Albert a dirty pervert and I'm sure Kane's going to come after Albert a bit later on. The Mamalukes tried to help Disco by attacking Vampiro on the outside. This forced Billy Silverman to remove Big Vito and Johnny from the ringside area, but they hung around until Disco got tossed out of the ring. For some unexplained reason, the Mamalukes put Disco back inside the ropes without giving him a chance to recuperate, and this led to Vampiro winning the match with a nail in the coffin. It appears the Mamalukes aren't totally cool with Disco even after he helped them at Souled Out, but then why did they attack Vampiro before getting sent up the ramp? It doesn't make any sense. Scotty Steiner's showing the new WCW president a few freaks. Nash wants to hire a new assistant it seems, so he tells April Hunter to make him a coffee. Big Papa Pump says he wants to play Twister, but Kev's having none of it.
Truth is you suck big balls.
We've got David Flair and Crowbar versus 3 Count on Nitro, plus the Maestro versus Tank Abbott.
That's going to be a good little piece of business.
On Raw, Kurt Angle's going to face a mystery opponent after just leaving the restroom. So it's Shane Helms and Shannon Moore taking on the tag team champions here, and they begin with some pretty awesome high risk moves to the outside. These boys can sing, dance and wrestle, nothing but pure money. Their tandem offense is also pretty awesome, but no time to enjoy this one guys, because standards and practices are here on Nitro. Lenny Lane's looking like Ozzy Osbourne for some reason. That no good creep Evan Courageous begins stalking Daphne around the ring. He serenades her with 3 Count's hit song Give Me a Call and Tickle My Balls. And this of course enrages David Flair. Crowbar pulls off a sit-down front suplex while young David grabs his crowbar, and Evan gets taken out by Flair Jr. Crowbar takes some punishment in the ring, saying as his partner's too busy saving his girlfriend, but David does remember the task at hand and he helps get Shannon out of the ring. Crowbar performs a fallen inverted DDT on Shane and the tag team champions retain their belts. The Maestro vs Tank Abbott match ended after one punch. This is exactly how Souled Out would have ended if Vince Russo had his way, so always remember guys, things could have been a lot worse. Norman Smiley appears on the entranceway after the match and he invites Tank to come out for a fight, but then Norman uses Ming as a shield. Tank's still looking for a fight, but Ming's not backing down. There's no physicality here, but it appears we'll be seeing Ming vs Tank Abbott very soon. On Raw, Kurt Angle has a mystery opponent. He also has a mystery opponent at the Royal Rumble, and Steve Blackman warned Kurt not to agree to this match at the pay-per-view. He's going to end up facing a giant robot monster all on his own, and he won't have anyone to back him up. Kurt says he's confident, he doesn't need advice from Steve Blackman. All he needs is intensity, integrity, and intelligence. So tonight, the mystery opponent on Raw is Steve Blackman. The plans for Steve to incapacitate Kurt so badly that he won't make it to the Royal Rumble. It's for his own good. Steve tries to reason with Angle while kicking his ass. He's like, "No Kurt, I'm saving you from yourself," but Angle won't listen. He delivers an overhead belly to belly before choking Steve out in the corner, but the two knock each other down after a double clothesline, and Kurt then takes the Blackman torpedo. Steve takes a ring post bump on the outside. Kurt gets back inside the ropes. Davey Boy Smith then shows up to hit Big Stevie Cool with a low blow, and so it's been confirmed, guys. The British Bulldog's a traitor and he joined the Robot Monster Worldwide Alliance. He's now half robot and half dog. Kurt wins via pinfall, but Steve doesn't care. If Angle wants to put his life at risk this Sunday on pay-per-view, then fine, go ahead Kurt, do your worst. Stephanie McMahon's pretty happy with this result, by the way. Triple H wasn't too amused. Backstage, Big Show says he doesn't like The Rock. He attacked Rock on Smackdown because the Great One called the other 29 superstars entering the Royal Rumble a bunch of jabronis. Show's confident that he'll win the Rumble this week, but tonight The Rock needs to do just one thing. He needs to stay out of the Big Show's way. The WWF are holding a Miss Royal Rumble swimsuit contest at the pay-per-view this week, and on Raw they put on a little preview. The women talked about how they're going to reveal it all, while Ivory said the fans are nothing but a bunch of perverts. The women then had a fight. Officials run down to break it up, and when the ring cleared out, Mae Young said she's going to show the fans her puppies right now on Raw. Thankfully, Mark Henry ran down to cover Mae up, but don't worry boys, if you want to see Mae Young's moneymakers, you can tune into the Royal Rumble. And I'm being serious, she got those bad boys out live on pay-per-view. On Raw next, X-Pac and Triple H take on the Acolytes. On Nitro, WCW President Kevin Nash cuts a promo. Members of the WCW roster are brought to the ring for Kevin's State of the Union address. He says he's standing among a sea of underachievers right now and he wants to help everyone out. He wants to give Mike Tenay a personality, he wants to give Brian Knobbs a brain, Tank Abbott will get a heart, and Norman Smiley will get courage. Nash then says he sounds like Oz before the crowd chant for Goldberg, and Kev says he'll fire Billy Boy if the fans won't shut up. Kev then says Terry Funk made a drunken mistake by stripping Jeff Jarrett of the US belt. Double J's named the United States champion once again, and look at Disco and Lash LaRue standing right beside each other here having a laugh. I thought Lash hated Disco. Anyway, the NWO's put together a bunch of rules that the roster need to abide by. Rule number 1 is all about health. So tonight, all the superstars have to visit Dr. Jellyfinger after the show so they can get a rectal exam. Rule number 2 concerns equality among the talent. No longer will there be separate locker rooms for lower talent and main eventers. Everyone shares the same locker space from now on, but no one's allowed to look Kevin in the eye. They must put their heads to the ground and refer to Kevin as Lord Master. This is totally fair, in my opinion. Rule number 3, no one can ask Kevin what's going on with the World Heavyweight belt. His official statement on the matter is simply, and I quote, "I'll let you know." Rule number 4, no illegal substances in the locker room. The sniffer dogs are already in the back, and Kevin apologises to the total package because the dogs are specifically looking for Viagra. Nash books his first main event match, Buff Bagwell vs Diamond Dallas Page. Kev really needs to know if Bagwell splashed his stuff all over Kimberly, and so Kim's going to serve as the special referee. Nash even went through the trouble of picking Kimberly's outfit for tonight. Big Sexy wraps it up by saying the NWO now run WCW, and the fans might see heroes in the ring tonight, but right now they're looking at God standing on the stage. Backstage, Nash hands Kimberly her referee shirt while telling her all about tonight's main event. We assume she wasn't in the ring earlier on. And Kev also wants to know who was better, DDP or Buff. Kimberly leaves the room while Nash reminds her that she forgot to bow down, and Jeff says Kim didn't refer to Kevin as Lord Master. On Raw, Stephanie McMahon joins the commentary table for this tag team match, and it starts out as a brawl. Bradshaw focuses on Triple H while Farouk goes after X-Pac. Hunter and Bradshaw end up in the audience, they fight on the rampway and all the way up to the entrance stage. Bradshaw performs a body slam right here, but the cameras totally miss it, so the Acolytes get a chance to single out X-Pac. Hunter returns to the ring and he stands on the apron. Farouk performs a clothesline on X-Pac before tagging out. Kid's able to bring Bradshaw down after a few kicks, but Hunter has to save his partner from taking a top rope suplex. Hunter and Farouk get in the ring. Hunter performs the facebreaker knee smash, but Farouk replies with a spine buster. Bradshaw and Pac then get in and Big Justin Hug pulls off a clothesline from hell. The match then ends when the New Age Outlaws interfere. Bradshaw and Farouk get destroyed as Stephanie cheers from the commentary table. The New Age Outlaws are going to face the Acolytes this week at the Rumble, by the way, and the Tag Team Championships will be up for grabs. It's just another beatdown from D-Generation X, another Triple H match to go head to head with Nitro's final 10 minutes. We get a Steve Austin health update next on Raw, plus a promo from The Rock. On Nitro, the Varsity Club take on Team 2000. Team 2000 consists of Super J and Masahiro Chono. You may know Super J better as the NWO Sting or Fake Sting. Team 2000 was a pretty big deal in New Japan, with Chono forming the faction after leaving NWO Japan, and eventually Team 2000 would recruit every member of NWO Japan except for Kijimoto. It's all very interesting stuff, but unfortunately this is a one and done deal for Team 2000 in WCW. The faction won't get mentioned again on Nitro moving forward. Mike Rotunda was also a part of NWO Japan. Chono's annoyed that Mike returned to America to compete in WCW, and if it wasn't for Mike Tenay explaining all this, American fans wouldn't have a clue what's going on. Anyway, Mike gets set up for an attack by Super Jabroni and the fight's on. Super J gets taught a lesson by Mike as Leah Meow bounces around on the outside. When Chono gets tagged in, the crowd chant boring, and honestly, I don't really blame them either. No one in the audience understands the backstory and the fact that Chono's Team 2000 was a huge deal in New Japan, and instead they only really care about what they see right in front of them, and you know, rightfully so. Doesn't matter if you're a hardcore NJPW fan, and it doesn't matter if Chono's a massive deal elsewhere. The masses don't know and they really don't give a shit. Rick comes in to try and win the audience back with some power moves. The crowd are still booing though, and Chono's doing what he usually does in WCW, as in not a whole lot. The Varsity Club begin tagging in and out at a rapid rate. On the outside, Chono shouts at Leah while the crowd shout boring. Chono and Steiner brawl at the entranceway and Rick gets the better of his opponent after choking him out with some cables. Back in the ring though, Chono pulls off a wheel kick before going upstairs. Steiner takes a diving shoulder block, but when Masahiro goes up again, Rick catches him with a belly to belly. Mike comes in for a Samoan drop. He then covers Chono, but the referee's too busy with the other guys. Super J rolls Chono over on top of Mike, and Team 2000 win this match. After the bell, the Varsity Club attack their opponents. It ends with a terrible looking double clothesline from Rick and Mike. And yeah, absolute dog shit right here. There's folks out there who still think the New Japan guys of this era could do no wrong, and I do agree that this match was pretty much set up for failure, but that doesn't excuse the poor in-ring action. It also got 9 minutes of ring time, the longest match we've got on Nitro this week. Michael Cole explains that Stone Cold Steve Austin underwent successful surgery today to relieve chronic pain in his neck, arms and legs. Dr. Youngblood, who doesn't look like a Youngblood, performed the surgery in San Antonio, and he says it went as well as it could have really. The problem Austin had was some bone spurs in his neck pressing on his spinal cord. There were early signs of neurological problems, so the surgery was necessary and Austin stayed stable throughout. So basically, all signs are good, and Doc Youngblood thinks Austin has a good chance of returning after several months. It could be up to 6 months though before Austin's back in the ring. Triple H says if Austin comes back, he'll suffer the same fate as the Acolytes tonight, and The Rock also has a few things to say about Stone Cold. He says he'd give Austin a beer in San Antonio if he was there right now. He would congratulate Steve to his face, and Rock also confirms he's looking forward to Stone Cold making his comeback. Kevin Kelly wants to know if Rock wants to retract his statement about the Big Show being a jabroni, and Rock says yes. He retracts his statement and he instead calls him a 7 foot 500 pounds pile of steaming stinking grade A monkey crap. This is gonna be The Rock's Royal Rumble. The Great One guarantees he's gonna win the Rumble match, and Rock's going to WrestleMania 2000 to become WWF Champion once again. Rock doesn't want Big Show as a tag team partner tonight. He wants Show to stand on the apron and do that thing that's so impressive. And The Rock calls Big Show a jabroni one more time, if you smell what The Rock's cooking. Next up on Raw, it's Bubba Ray Dudley versus Jeff Hardy. On Nitro, we've got another match between The Wall and Sid Vicious. I thought Sid and The Wall were cool with each other, but I guess The Wall's turned heel again. I also wondered why The Wall would help out the Revolution at Souled Out, but maybe his heel turn happened on Thunder, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I really don't care either. So we've no promo from Sid about how he's the rightful WCW champion, no discussion from the big man about his pretty decent match last night against Benoit. He just batters The Wall at the opening bell before putting him down with a big boot. Sid drops his opponent on the guardrail when the two go outside. He then uses a steel chair multiple times and the ref lets it continue. The Wall gets thrown over the commentary table and Sid rehydrates his opponent with some water. We then cut to the backstage area where Kevin Nash is waiting for his cue to speak. Disco just stands there while everyone waits to get the thumbs up, and it's super awkward. Nash then says Disco has nice hair. He wonders if the Mamalukes know a guy by the name of Vinny Vegas, and Vito says yeah, he's a good guy. And Nash then sends Disco and the boys out to attack Big Sid. So Sid defeats his opponent with a big chokeslam, and then Johnny the Bull gets in the ring. Johnny takes a powerbomb, so Vito then tries his luck. Vito also takes a powerbomb, and Disco's like, yeah, fuck that, and the Inferno heads back up the ramp. On Raw, Jeff began his usual high-risk offense pretty early on with a dive over the top rope. Bubba replied back in the ring with a sit-down powerbomb, and Jeff then took a backdrop. Jeff performs a corner head scissors, Bubba fires back with a Bubba bomb, Terry gets on the apron, and Devon gets her back down. So Matt attacks Devon on the outside, but he ends up getting dropped on the security barrier. Bubba misses a top rope senton, and this allows Jeff to perform a neckbreaker. Jeff then wins the match with a swanton bomb, but the Dudleys attack after the bell while Matt's still recovering on the outside. Matt eventually tries to help out, but he ends up taking a 3D, and then Bubba grabs a table from under the ring, a piece of furniture that's going to become synonymous with Bubba Ray and Devon. Jeff gets put on the table, Devon then lifts Matt up for a powerbomb, Bubba drives Matt into Jeff, and the bump looked fantastic. This right here and another table attack on Smackdown later in the week would result in a Dudley Boys vs Hardy Boys table match getting booked for the Royal Rumble. Scott Steiner came out to get a little heat from these fans in Ohio. He says trying to find a pretty girl in Ohio is like finding a needle in a haystack, so he's brought some of his own freaks from the University of Michigan. If any girls out there want to find out if the legend's true, if they want to find out if there's nothing finer than Scotty Steiner, they can meet him out the back and take a number. Scott and the boys used to love coming to Ohio State because beating Ohio State was easy, just like the women in this god-awful place. So Scott sings the University of Michigan fight song, and a few fans in the front row didn't appreciate Scott's angelic vocals too much. So Scott throws a plant over the barrier and Steiner beats the guy up. He may have been a plant, but he still ended up with a nice bloody nose courtesy of the big bad booty daddy. Next up, Chris Jericho defends his and Chyna's IC title against Rikishi while the Total Package takes on Bam Bam Bigelow. Jericho, China, and Hardcore Holly are facing each other in a triple threat match at the Royal Rumble to crown an undisputed IC champion. So naturally, both Hardcore Holly and China are a bit concerned here. They have no idea why Jericho would agree to compete in this matchup, but Y2J explains that this is just what an honourable champion would do. What Rikishi doesn't know is that Jericho's a dancing machine and Chris would be happy to show his sick dance moves to the big man. Dance moves like the Great Caesar's Ghost and the Electric Banana. But for now, Y2J is going to destroy Rikishi Ayatollah style, and yeah, he doesn't start off too well. Rikishi performs a pop-up cutter and Chris tries a plancha. Unfortunately, the big man grabs the IC champion and Chris gets rammed into the ring post. Back inside the ring, Rikishi performs a big ring-shaking leg drop, and when Chris tries to come back with a forearm, he ends up wiping the referee out. And so this allows Hardcore Holly to run in, along with Young Crash. The Hollies want to make sure Rikishi doesn't win tonight, but they're taken out rather easily, and Chris takes a super kick. Rikishi then signals for the driver, but China comes in to hit the big man with a low blow. Plenty of cushioning right there, but it still does some damage, as little as it may be. The co-IC champions argue, Rikishi takes them both out with a double clothesline. Jericho decides to get out of the ring while Rikishi goes for a banzai drop, but Hardcore Holly hits the big man with a chair shot. Too Cool run down to save the day, and Hardcore gets a taste of his own medicine. Crash ends up taking the Rikishi driver, and it all ends with Too Cool and Rikishi's dance routine. This dance is really over now, and it's getting to the point where fans look forward to the dance more than the actual match. But sure, people are enjoying themselves, and that's all that matters. On Nitro, it appears that non-Sting is no more. The total package is back. Lex attack Bam Bam on Thunder, which brings us to this match right here on Nitro, and it begins with Lex taking a back elbow before he leaves the ring. Bam Bam knocks Luger off the apron. He continues to punish Lex on the outside, though inside the ring the total package comes back with his bionic forearm. Bigelow gets a boot up in the corner, Lex takes a few clotheslines, Bigelow performs a body slam before going upstairs, and Lex takes a diving headbutt. Liz jumps on the apron as Bam Bam looks for greetings from Asbury Park, but Champagne Canyon gets in the ring and Bigelow gets distracted. This allows Lex to hit Bam Bam with a champagne bottle, and the total package wins via pinfall. The Canyon and Bigelow rivalry continues on, and Shivani says Lex and Sting still have unfinished business. Shivani also predicts that Sting's going to be back very, very soon. Nitro's taking place in the Staples Center in a few weeks, and Tony thinks Sting could come back at that very episode of Nitro. Remember when Albert conveniently fell into the women's dressing room earlier on? Yeah, Tori cried to Stephanie and she got Albert booked in a match against Kane. Bossman watched on as Albert tried his best to put the big red machine down, but it was no use. The match was over before it began. Albert took the diving clothesline followed by a chokeslam, and that was it. Kane wins via pinfall. After the match, Albert said to Kane, "Obviously, you like to be dominated by a woman, and so do I. And personally, I feel this is way too much information. I really didn't need to know this, nor do I feel my life's been enriched by this little factoid from Prince Albert. Good for you, you fucking sleazeball." Backstage, Cactus Jack tried to bring Big Show and Rock together for their main event match, but both guys kinda shrugged him off. He told The Rock it would be in his best interest to work alongside the Big Show tonight and maybe ease up on calling his partner a jabroni. Mick, speaking from experience, he knows how dangerous the X can be, and Rock says, yeah, he appreciates the advice. As a matter of fact, Mick should pay attention to what happens in our Raw main event when Rock and Big Show take on the new Age Outlaws. Nitro ends with a sold out rematch. It's DDP versus Buff Bagwell, only this time Kimberly Page is our special referee. Kimberly, DDP and Buff make their entrances. There still seems to be some issues between Dallas and Kim that we're not fully aware of, but the match starts with Paige spitting on Buff before the two start throwing hands. Dallas counters a hip toss with a Uranagi, and he gets annoyed when Kim hesitated before beginning her count. You need to speed up just a little bit, sweetheart. Buff comes back with an inverted atomic drop and a clothesline. The two then brawl through the audience. Paige grabs a crutch from someone in the crowd and it gets broken over Buff's back. Kim watches on from the ringside area, so no one's getting disqualified tonight. The two eventually return to the ring with DDP firmly in control, but Buff manages to drop Dallas on the top turnbuckle and Kimberly doesn't know what to do. The commentators aren't sure exactly what Kim's thinking right now, and they're suggesting that Mrs. Page might not exactly be in full support of Dallas. Buff has a word with Kim, he then decides to do his little pose. DDP wakes up and Buff gets wrecked in the corner. Bagwell gets his wee American meal smashed in the ring post, but moments later he's able to block a diamond cutter by grabbing the top rope. Buff then chokes Dallas, but Kim doesn't try to stop it, and Bagwell's able to drop Paige with a double arm DDT, but Kimberly again's way too slow and going for the count. Buff complains about the bad officiating, and I'm not sure if Kim was trying to act it up here or if she was just really bad at being a referee. Paige and Buff pull off snapmares while covering each other, yet Kim seems totally oblivious. Like she doesn't know when someone's being covered, you know? Bobby Heenan even called this out and his colleagues had to agree with him. DDP takes a blockbuster and that should be the match all over. Kim then runs into Bagwell and I don't know. Really, I don't know. Paige delivers a diamond cutter, DDP wins via pinfall, and neither Kimberly nor Paige looks very happy. I think half of this reaction is storyline related and the other half's legit frustration at how this all turned out. But that's your Nitro main event, one that really does highlight the importance of a fairly competent referee. I don't blame Kimberly, she was very much out of her comfort zone, but I can't imagine anyone being too happy with this one backstage, including Diamond Dallas Page. As soon as The Rock makes his entrance on Raw, he attacks Big Show. The Outlaws can sit back and enjoy this as their opponents fight each other to kick off the Raw main event. Show gets punched out of the ring, the Outlaws just wait it out, and when the time's right, Road Dogg and Billy attack Rocky. Show's gonna stand at the barrier now and let Rock take a beating. Triple H, X-Pac and Stephanie are watching the match from the entranceway as Rock ends up at the commentary table. Road Dogg lays in a few shots as JR says this is nothing but a handicap match. Billy Gunn tries to throw Rock into the ring steps, but instead the People's Champ hits Road Dogg with a clothesline and Billy Gunn gets taken out seconds later. Just as fast as Rock gains this advantage though, he loses it again, and the Big Show's in no rush to help his partner out. Inside the ring, Rock counters a dancey punch with a rock bottom. Billy Gunn's right there to break the cover though, and as soon as Gunn tags in, Rock takes a jackhammer. The crowd chant Big Show sucks as the WWF's Jan continues to do absolutely nothing to help out his partner. Triple H, X-Pac and Stephanie are watching their plan play out exactly how they predicted as Rock once again tries to get into the match. He ends up getting thrown out of the ring though, and Big Show decides to headbutt Rocky before throwing him back inside the ropes. But all hope isn't lost. Rock counters Road Dogg's pump handle drop and Billy Gunn's famouser in quick succession, so he's still in with a chance. Show pulls Rock out of the ring, the Great One gets slapped across the face. The Big Show then gets inside the ropes and he cleans house. Both Outlaws get manhandled by the big man and Road Dogg resorts to grabbing a steel chair. With the referee's back turned, Rock grabs a steel chair and he ends up clocking Big Show right on the head, and this allows Road Dogg to win the match via pinfall. This is exactly what DX wanted, so it's another victory for the McMahon-Helmsley era. Stephanie, Hunter and X-Pac applaud Rock from the entranceway, but Rock isn't done yet. He lets the Outlaws head back up the ramp before hitting Big Show with a people's elbow, but DX thought this was great. They continue to applaud as Raw fades to black, but the finish here does give Rock a lot more momentum heading into the Royal Rumble show. Raw wins Reliving the War this week. The Cactus Jack and Triple H promo was more than enough to secure the point, and for this being the first Nitro that wasn't written by Vince Russo in a few months, it kinda fell flat. The main event really was dreadful. For a go-home show, Raw hit all the main points even if they didn't really have a standout match this week, though you would be interested in seeing what was going to happen at the pay-per-view if you watched this week's episode of Raw's War. Raw's now on 121 points, Nitro's on 77, and we've got 21 ties on the board. In the TV ratings, we had a drop on both shows. Raw got a 6.0 and Nitro got a 3.0. The Royal Rumble's up next, everyone. It's that time of year again when we find out who's going to WrestleMania, and we've got some big names entering the annual Rumble match this year. Of course, The Rock's going to be in there, the Big Show's also in the match and he's got a pretty good entry number. Chris Jericho, Rikishi, X-Pac, The Boss Man, China are all in the Rumble too, so come over this Sunday and we'll see how it played out. We've also got the Triple H vs Cactus Jack street fight, and this one's good. It's really good. So if you've still got the stench of Souled Out 2000 lingering around, then trust me, the Royal Rumble will most definitely fix that problem. The pay-per-view review and the next episode of Reliving the War are now available on Patreon, so you know the drill. Support me, support this series that's taken me years to complete, and you can watch all Wrestling Bios videos well in advance. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you all in the garden for the 2000 Royal Rumble. Please take care.